Yeah, so my product journey has been across large companies, small companies, my own startups, and so on. I think one of the most challenging and eventually turned out to be one of the most successful ones was when I started looking at product at GoIbigo, which is this online travel company that merged with MakeMyTrip 3 years back. And I had just come over from my role at MakeMyTrip as the chief product officer there and started looking at product at GoIbigo. And the challenge was very straightforward, which is until the merger happened, the two companies were at loggerheads with each other, fierce competitors. And obviously, their two products, therefore, resembled each other in some dramatically obvious ways. And now that we were a single company, the idea was for the two brands and the two products to now span the entire spectrum of what the Indian user needs and wants, which is quite a bit. So the question was, how do you differentiate what the GoIbibo product would look like in travel, where it differentiated enough and spanned into this other segment, which was budget category, more younger audience, but at the same time not lose its essence. And the essence of GoIbibo always was this very hackish social kind of a culture that it had built in its community of younger people. So there was obviously many different ideas to be potentially playing around with. One thing that we ended up on was to say, well, if this is going to be a product that gets people to believe that you could buy travel from anywhere, but if you were to buy travel from a socially trustable place where your friends are, who can give you advice, where there are well-wishers, knowledgeable people about travel who could help you decide what to buy, what not to buy, then GoIbibo is that place. Now, how do you do that? And the idea that we came up with was to gamify all kinds of social interactions. GoIbibo had always been very famous for giving out this thing called GoCash, which in which the conceit was that anytime you have a friend of yours who travels using GoIbibo, you would get 50 rupees. It was a brilliant strategy. So how do you build that kind of a product and make it successful in this new world? So we created this new paradigm altogether in which the entire home screen was taken up by social actions. And every social action that you did earned you some rupees. Now, that was the overall construct. And what we did, I think there were lots of ideas that we played around with. But I think the thing that really unlocked innovation inside the company, and which is what I was really intending, was to just create broad guidelines so that marketing could pitch in, so that somebody who was part of the supply team who could go out to five-star hotels and come up with something interesting and create that. So we built out this whole gaming platform for internal users, which is kind of the remarkable new thing about this. So we said, look, guys, we're going to open this up for anyone in the company to start playing around with. And it's very simple who wins and who loses, which is we see what kind of click-through rates we get for the kind of games that come up here, and let people unlock their imagination completely. So that's what really did the trick, because now everyone had, as part of their 3-month plan, quarterly plan, some game that they were launching on this front end that they were really relying on. Some of the best, most insightful, most hackish thinking went into creating cute things that would go live here. And eventually that became a fundamental way how the company started thinking about who the users were. And the users found, for example, I mean, you would reward users for example, answering questions about an area that you lived in for another traveler. And because they would get that reward, they would start coming back to the app much more, which if you imagine for travel, which is a very episodic kind of a product, right? Which is that you need to come to it only once in 3 months. Suddenly people started coming much more frequently. And that created this virtuous loop, which I thought was probably one of the best things that happened in my career.